seems like anarchy in the UK. In the aftermath of the British vote to leave the European Union, cracks start appearing everywhere. The economy, the markets, specifically political leadership seems pretty vacant. In Brussels, everybody tries to keep their calm, but for the European Union, it might be the calm before the storm. Welcome to the State of the Union. David Cameron, the man who made the referendum happen, lost, resigned and flew to Brussels, where he had the difficult task to convey the news to all other heads of state and government of the bloc. The British Prime Minister left with almost nostalgic pro-European feelings.
I've been coming to these European councils for 6 years now, and barring an emergency council, of which there have been many in the last 6 years, this will be my last one. They can often be long and frustrating and difficult, but when I've attended these councils, I've always remembered that this is an organisation and this is a formula that have brought together countries that not that many years ago were in conflict. And in spite of all the frustrations, I've always found it very reassuring that we found a way to talk and to work together and to resolve our differences in dialogue and in argument. And so as I leave the European Council, probably for the last time, I pay tribute to all of the presidents and prime ministers and everyone who works here who've made these meetings as successful as they have been.
The day after Cameron's departure from Brussels, his remaining 27 colleagues stayed on for another day in order to define the EU's answer to the UK, dashing British hopes for an easy negotiation. Isabel Marques da Silva has the story.
Two senior EU officials have warned Britain it will fail if it plans to cherry-pick the parts of the single market that it likes. Donald Tusk, the head of the European Council, and Jean-Claude Juncker, European Commission chief, spoke to the media earlier. We agreed that every country that wants to participate in the internal market, that wants to trade in the internal market, has to fully respect the full freedoms, particularly the free movement of people. German Chancellor Angela Merkel also warned the United Kingdom that it could not start talks on exiting the EU for now. He told reporters, "We want to underline again that there will be no negotiations before the UK activates the formal notification that it wants to leave." But leaders say they're aware that many people across Europe today feel disconnected from the European Union. After losing the second biggest economy of the EU, the remaining 27 member states are focusing on tackling Euroscepticism, including issues such as migration, security and jobs. These topics will be on the table at an informal summit in Bratislava in September.
Isabel Marques da Silva, Euronews, em Bruxelas.
Time to move to who had the best week. It's Nigel Farage, the leader of the UK Independence Party. Not so much because Brexit seems his lifetime achievement, but because during the last month as member of the European Parliament, he had more media coverage than all 10 next best covered members of the Assembly combined. And our worst ratings go to Boris Johnson. The man who officially only joined the Brexiteers 4 months before the vote saw many of the Leave camp's promises put in doubt after the referendum, although that's true for Farage too. But Boris Johnson's political ambitions were reduced to nothing when his ally, Secretary of State for Justice Michael Gove, threw his hat in the ring. And Gove is not the only one running.
5 candidates are in the race to choose the new leader of the UK's governing Conservative Party and the country's next Prime Minister. However, Boris Johnson, the most hotly anticipated, has shocked commentators by pulling out of the contest. Eurosceptic Interior Minister Theresa May is currently the bookies' favourite.
Brexit means Brexit. The campaign was fought, the vote was held, turnout was high, and the public gave their verdict. There must be no attempts to remain inside the EU, no attempts to rejoin it through the back door, and no second referendum. And there should be no decision to invoke Article 50 until the British negotiating strategy is agreed and clear,
The 48-year-old former Brexit ally of Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, surprised commentators on Thursday morning by throwing his hat into the ring. 53-year-old Energy Minister Andrea Leadsom is in third place, according to the bookmakers.
And we're delighted to support the RMB's internationalisation in that.
Meanwhile, the 43-year-old Work and Pensions Minister Stephen Crabb is standing on a joint ticket with Enterprise Minister Sajid David.
People inclined to vote against.
And 54-year-old Liam Fox is a former UK Defence Minister. The vote will be whittled down to the two final candidates by a vote between Conservative MPs next Tuesday.
The United Kingdom voted to leave, but not all of its parts did so. The day after Cameron left Brussels, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon came to Brussels. She had meetings with EU institutions' leaders and making the point that her home country had voted to stay in the European Union.
If there is a way for Scotland to stay, I am determined to try and find that way. All of the options are on the table. As I say, I don't underestimate the challenges of that, but I've been heartened today that I have found a willingness to listen.
And here's our tweet of the week. Gary Lineker, former English football international and currently presenting the Euro 2016 for British TV, didn't resist the temptation to draw a parallel between the Brexit vote and the elimination of the English team from the tournament. Seems we're desperate to get out of Europe in all ways, he wrote. And let's just have a look on what's in the EU's pipeline for next week. Monday, the European Parliament plenary comes together. MEPs will have their hands full debating the consequences of the British vote. On Friday, NATO leaders meet in Warsaw. In the sidelines, EU leaders will meet US President Barack Obama to debate, guess what, Brexit. And on Sunday, it's the final of the Euro 2016 Football Championship. Thanks for watching. Have an excellent week.